in Waterloo.
Hi, Josh.
Hey, baby.
Hey, Chaveevah. Hey, Debbie. How
Thank you for having me.
Good.
Oh, thanks for coming. Thanks for joining us.
On a Friday.
Yes.
And everything. Yeah, it's Friday, everybody. You made it over the hump. You made it through Rocki and Chaveevah Eve. And now look at you. You are here. This is it.
And the place to be.
I'm telling you, we got it going on today. We got Deborah Berry, the one and only CEO. What else are
President.
Oh, just
Former
president.
state representative, all that good stuff.
Yeah. She is actually here in the flesh.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Lifelong friend. How you looking taller than me?
I don't know.
Right.
I just
look up here like.
Well, folks, we are coming to you live from the Hazel Scott room of the Jubilee United Methodist Church, and it's just really exciting. You all don't know, or maybe you do know because you saw a little bit earlier how we sort of panned the crowd. We've got some guests in here today, some awesome guests.
And Deb, you know one of our guests. He's on your show quite often.
Okay.
Yeah, Dan Trelka is here with us
Chief
today.
Trelka.
Chief Trelka.
He
That's
has
kind
his
of a
very
tongue
own
twister.
show on KBBG FM 88.1. Yes, he has.
Right.
Wow,
Okay. We got him to talk to in a little bit,
Okay.
and we also have our own local author, Nick DeBonis, who is here with his new book, A Bridge Between. And what's the subtitle, Chaveevah? I know you know.
Why you put me on the spot? No, I don't know. But
Okay, The Bridge Between.
I know it generated a lot of interesting discussion just before our show got started. And, I just happened to walk in a little bit and catch a little bit of it. So
Right.
we're going to have some good things to talk about.
Okay, great.
Can I do a shout out?
Shout out. That's what we want you to
Happy
do.
birthday, Nia Rose Berry, my granddaughter. She's 10 today. And she's got a little party going on right now that I have to get to. So.
Okay. We appreciate
But I
your
love you,
time.
Jocelyn.
I know,
so
I can tell.
Rocky. So I wanted to come, and I love you, Chaveevah.
Love you too.
So I'm here.
I know.
All right.
You did not stand us up.
No.
And you know what, Deb?
Yes.
We had so much fun at the parade.
Oh,
I
did
mean,
you?
girl, y'all did that.
Yeah, we did that
what
thing.
What a wonderful parade.
Yeah. The parade, that was our 40th. KBBG's been in this community for 40 years, 41.
Wow.
And the parade kind of went by the wayside a couple years. And then I came on board just a year ago, last July. And last year was a good parade, but you're right. This year was even a better parade.
Yes, it was
We
awesome.
had over almost 70 units in the parade, and it was an
Wow.
amazing collaboration between the North End Music and Arts Festival.
Oh, yes.
as
It
you
was
know.
so festive.
Yes, and then later that evening it was the drill team marching against the darkness drill team competition at East High. So
And
it was
we were so
an
glad
amazing event.
You got that video because
Yeah.
we collapsed after the parade.
I know.
Sorry. And it was a warm day.
It was
you know.
warm. It was like an oven. It was like hot and humid.
And humidity, yes.
And yes, and you know Chaveevah is getting older. And it's like- sometimes
Good one.
I have to make sure we find a shady spot. For
Yeah,
Chaveevah.
find a cool spot and a cool
Yes.
drink for Chaveevah.
Right, of course. But we forgot to say welcome to Rocki and Chaveevah Live.
Welcome to Rocki and Chaveevah Live.
Because there's always something good happening on the North End
And
and everywhere else in the Cedar Valley.
You know it.
That's right.
And you know this
Yes.
by now.
Can I add something?
Please.
Now, this is why you guys will get mad at me because I do radio and I'm a host and I talk a lot and a former politician. So
Right.
I'll try
honey, all
I'll
that
try
mixed
not to do
together.
all that.
We in trouble.
But, what I love the most about the Rocki and Chaveevah show is that you guys truly, truly highlight the great things that are happening in the Cedar Valley.
Thank you, Deb.
And that's what we do on the Deb and Lulu show, as you know, every Friday morning. We try to do that too. So we want you
Yes.
guys to join us next Friday if you could.
Of course.
Friday morning.
Wow.
So at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, yes.
I was listening to
coffee
you guys
on
this
tap?
morning.
Yeah, we have
Oh,
coffee.
yes.
And were you listening?
Yes, I was.
But because that's what we need to do, and that's why I'm so happy Chief Trelka's here today, so we can really talk about just the great things that are happening here
Right.
in Waterloo, and just to form and build strengthen partnerships here.
Right.
Okay.
And depending, we have our TV guys here. We want to shout out to Mark and Ed and Zion. And
Hi,
thank
Mark,
you
Ed,
for
and
coming.
Zion.
But depending on the input from our viewing audience, we might go a little long, fellas. But it's raining outside. You don't need to start your weekend soon, Just bear with us, okay? All right, we got a trivia question today, Chaveevah, for maybe a copy of
Actually,
Abridged. Oh, you have a print.
yes, I do.
Okay. Okay,
Yes, I
then you ask the question. Deb.
Okay, and don't
Well, you
mind
get
me
the-
walking off.
Right,
It
we
doesn't
like
matter.
that.
We
We
do
do-
our own thing here.
That's right.
You want me to ask a question?
Sure, we want to ask.
Keep doing what makes.
No.
Oh, was that the answer? I think
No,
I
that's not the
just,
answer.
Okay, okay.
Okay,
That's not-
Finn, you have to tell them to finish this sentence.
Finish this sentence. Keep doing what makes you awesome because.
Right. It's something
Okay.
we say every week at the end of the show, and if you watch us, you'll know.
That's right.
And you get to win.
You went to win this print.
Oh, wow. What's the name of that
The
one?
name of it is Let's Dance.
Oh,
Who's
shucks.
the artist? Wow.
Imagine, yeah, her signature style. Most of you
I know, I'm
her
teasing.
work by now.
Yeah.
But
So
yeah.
every week when we have a question, a trivia question, it's going to have something to do with our show. So that way we'll know who's paying attention to what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So pay attention.
Okay.
Okay, Zion, we have any comments?
Yes, we do. So it starts as Tequila Jefferson says, "That's just how y'all roll. Love it."
All right.
Yeah, we get up, down, she can cough.
I'm sorry.
Jean J. Darmilo says, "Hello, South from Southwest Texas."
Oh,
Hey,
hi,
Jean, we
Jean.
miss you,
Yes, we
Jean.
do.
Hey.
Miss you.
Yes, indeed.
Mary Cageley says, "Hello."
Hey,
Hi, Mary.
Shirley Montgomery says, "Boom, boom shakalaka ladies."
All right.
Cool.
Boom shakalaka.
Boom shakalaka, and you know this.
Heather Rocki also says, "Boom shakalaka."
Okay.
Gina Weekly says, "Hi, ladies."
Hey,
Miss
Jean.
Hey, Gina,
Miss
thank
Berry,
you.
love you.
Love you too, G.
What about me? I'm here too. Okay, I had to get my what about me in. And you know, we had Mayor Hart last week
Oh,
Yes.
with Gina Weekly.
Yes.
Had a great show last
Good.
week. Yeah. Mike Robinson.
And Mike Robinson.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And
Great.
we had a big event in the park last week too.
Were you there?
Yes.
No, I was not because I was at a funeral, but he had an
Oh.
amazing event.
You're like us. When do we sleep?
I know.
And
Yeah.
they were celebrating their 10th anniversary too.
Okay.
Yeah, they were
Great.
absolutely. Yep.
Great. We want to encourage you to like our page, talking about like the Rocki and Chaveevah page. Now, I get
Yes.
friend requests on my personal page, but that's why we're called Rocki and Chaveevah. We don't want everybody knowing who we really are. I'm really not really in the mood to take real friends. You know, I got a group.
Because they wouldn't know us separately, right?
Right, exactly. So like our Rocki and Chaveevah page, the North End Update page, and stay posted on everything that's going on the show.
That's right. And you can see us anytime you want to. You can catch any episode you want on YouTube. Just type in Rocki and Chaveevah and just, watch to your heart's content. Or you can watch us on cable channel 17 or 79-4
Wow.
right here.
All of
In
those
Whiteville.
places.
We're
on
kind of a-
Fridays at 4, Saturday mornings at 10 o'clock.
That's
Right,
wonderful.
yeah.
Okay.
Don't forget that. Okay, Chaveevah. So we want to make sure. I wonder if our guests are subscribers to the Soul Town.
Well, we could put them on the spot
Let's
and
do
find
that.
out, right?
Yeah. We're going to introduce our guests right now, and they can celebrate birthdays and the Soul Town with
Want me to
us
hold this up?
Okay.
just in a minute.
Oh,
here.
sorry.
Almost.
Okay,
Sorry.
we have Waterloo Police Chief Dan Trelka.
Yes.
Hi, Trelka.
Hello, Rocky.
Hi.
Deb.
Nice to
Hi,
see
Chief.
you.
Chaveevah.
Hi.
How are you?
Glad to have
Nice to
you.
meet you.
Good. Chief Trelka. And
Also, author, Mr. Nick DeBonis.
yes,
Hi, Mr. DeBonis.
hello.
Deborah Berry. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet
Nice
you.
to meet you.
Dan, can you believe these roses between our thorns?
I know.
You know?
I know.
Wow.
There we go. Are we all on set, Zion? Everybody is okay. Great. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Now we just have to know: do you just subscribe to the Soul Town?
I don't. No, I never heard of it, I'm afraid. So I need to subscribe.
Hello, seriously? Okay, the Soul Town.
I might
It's
get
time.
kicked off.
Okay, now we're
How
going to tell
about
you about
you?
the Soul Town.
I do not subscribe, but
Okay.
I'm like Chief, I'm going to pick up a subscription. I've seen about it.
Oh,
Yes.
good. And you haven't even seen
I
it.
have not.
Yeah.
No.
You're
But I
fine.
bet if you tell Chief Trelka who is the creator
Oh.
of it, he will know.
Absolutely.
You have to guess.
You'll never
No,
guess.
I'm just
A poet. She's a poet.
A poet.
Yes.
The conscious poet.
She's the conscious poet.
I have no idea.
Oh, where you just
Okay,
flung
we'll say the name and then
everything.
he'll know.
Okay. Chillin' or Chaveevah.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Of course you know her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
actually,
time
she's
for you to
under
learn
Yes.
all about
the Soul
Soul
Town.
All right.
Yes.
Yes, this is a major publication that obviously isn't major enough. But we like to highlight it every week, Deb. And
Yes.
you actually were a writer until
I
you got so
was.
busy.
I was a writer, and what I did, I wrote about cooking because I love to cook.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the earlier magazines, you can read some of my columns too, articles too.
But Chaveevah, tell them all about the Soul Town. So
Well,
these people
it's
here
our-
know.
It's hometown. It's homegrown,
Yes,
created by
yes.
Trelka, as we mentioned. And there are articles that are featured not just with people here locally, but also people from across the country.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Trelka has
she
talked to
had,
me
like-
about it.
yes.
Yeah, she had
So,
nine or 10 writers in her magazine, and so. And what I love about it the most is that even like this one, she's saluting and recognizing Walt Reed.
Right.
Walter Reed was a true leader and wonderful person in our community who passed away and about a month or so ago, didn't he?
Yes,
And
yes,
so,
indeed.
yeah.
And so we always say Chillin' came back home and showed up and showed off, kind of like you
Yeah,
did,
yeah,
like just now.
yeah.
And we're going to get to your book soon, but we want to tell our viewers and you,
I will get
Chief
it.
Trelka. That's hard. I think that's hard to say, Chief Trelka. But you go to thesoultown.com.
Oh,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Don't forget
and you
the
can
the.
subscribe online, or you can pick up a hard copy from. You can get one from Chillin'.
Gotcha.
For one, or you can go to the Tri-City Clothing at 305 East 4th Street, or to Earth's Beauty Supply at 403 Franklin.
I will
Sorry.
be getting
Okay.
it.
Squinty.
Yeah.
Well, and I have
Awesome.
5 brothers and sisters, 2 of whom live in town, and they need a subscription. So
Oh, there you go.
you've taken care of my
Absolutely.
Christmas.
Right,
Thank
right.
you.
Thank
Good
you.
deal.
Shaviva
Good
and I
deal.
both write for the Soul Town.
Yes, you
and
do.
we keep getting subscriptions. We might get a raise. Well, we're talking on this point. I don't know. Now it's another quiz. Did you hear about the Royal Christian Academy, Royal Legacy Christian Academy?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
great.
I did.
Well, we have a donation box right here
yeah,
for you.
okay.
And I'm just real pleased, Shaviva. I'm going to try not to cry.
See,
But my
I know.
sweet daughter,
Yeah.
Chastity, is the founder.
yes,
Yes, she's
yes.
my daughter. And Kendall Helmer is working with her. And they put
Yes.
out a wonderful newsletter. And they've been raising money
Okay.
all along. And we just want to shout out to Royal Legacy Christian
I know.
Academy.
I
Yeah.
interviewed
Very
her
good.
on radio.
Yep,
Yes.
it's great seeing the growth, the starting point, and it's just it's going to be nice seeing where it goes
Yeah.
Yeah.
from here.
And what a perfect location.
I'm
Yes.
telling you.
Yes.
Right, exactly. Okay, so now, Deb,
Yeah.
we get to do happy birthday. We're going to let you guys kind of get acclimated, you know.
Ah.
We want to let you sing a little bit.
Okay.
So you feel comfortable. So by the time we get to ask you a bunch of questions, you'll just be, you know.
And if
Feel
your
right at
singing
home.
voice is not good, don't worry about it because
Chief.
none of us.
Is acclamation
Well, let's-
legal in
let's-
Iowa?
I don't know.
And I don't want
Okay,
Might have to
I'm
check.
just a little
Nia
worried.
Rosemary.
Oh, yes, of course. Nia Roseberry. We'll start out with her.
All right.
Thank you.
So go ahead, Chaveevah.
Okay.
Oh, she got your glasses on?
Yes, no, I take them off, I
told
put
you.
them on. I take them off, I put them on. All right. Happy birthday to Phil Specht, Gene Vox, Chuck Rowe from the Boys and Girls Club.
Oh,
Happy
Chuck's
birthday.
Yes,
Really?
Chuck.
Happy birthday,
And Marcus
Chuck.
McLaurin.
Right. And what's her first name? Leah Rose?
Nia Rose.
Nia, happy
Berry.
birthday, baby.
Happy birthday,
Your-
Poopsie.
Your granddaughter,
She's
right?
my Poopsie, yeah.
Okay. And Chief, you want to read this one?
Right over here, Janice Lane Ewert,
Yes.
Derek Johnson, Sandra Williams, Gloria Kirkland Holmes.
Yes.
Happy birthday,
Right.
Dr. Gloria.
Happy birthday.
Yes. And Nick, let's let Nick read one. See if he can read and write.
I'm a product of the East Waterloo High School.
Oh, well, you
you
got
can
it
read and
going
write
on
then.
here. We already know.
Juliet Thurman Dunn.
Hey, girlfriend.
Hey, Jules, happy birthday.
Solomon Funches.
Hey, Solomon.
Happy birthday,
James.
Solomon, Daddy's boy.
Yes.
James Foogie Smith.
Yes.
And
Thank
Dondi Hickey.
Yay! Donnie,
You know
that's
that
my
guy, don't
mom.
you?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
I'm all about that hickey life.
Yes.
Okay. Well, now you thought you're done because now you get to sing. And we know you know the Stevie Wonder version of Happy
Uh-oh.
Birthday.
And if you don't worry, you'll catch
Right?
on. Really
I'll follow your lead.
Okay, right. It goes something like this.
Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday, happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday. All right.
Happy
Oh, you know that part too. Sing.
birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
You got a good voice. Okay, that's
Okay,
it.
that's
Debbie.
enough.
Got
Okay.
carried
I was
away.
worried you were going to have me do the Marilyn Monroe version.
Who's going
It's
to
kind
be
of sultry.
No, yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, we could put
Okay.
the Righteous Brothers and the Supremes together and take
Ah,
them.
That's right.
I'm Diana. Okay. All right. So now we got the birthdays done, Chaveevah. Now, I think, Deb, what would you like to ask our guests today?
Well, can I start with Nick?
Sure.
Because, I'm very impressed that you are an author. Now, is The Bridge Between Us your first book?
This is actually the fourth one.
Your fourth book? Okay.
The other three were business books,
Okay.
trade books.
Yes.
This was the one from the heart.
All right. And so, for those who don't know who you are, can you just share a little bit of your background?
Was born at a very early age, and grew up here in Waterloo. Went through the Waterloo school system,
Okay.
and graduated in 1966, the 100th graduating class at East High
Oh,
School.
that's this weekend, right?
That's
Or the
right.
next weekend?
They have
no.
September.
This is
Oh,
1966.
I know, but isn't
they're
there
getting
kind of
together.
like a
we're doing
reunion coming
we're doing
or
just a
something?
little, no, we're
Okay.
just doing a little get together.
Okay, okay, yeah.
And left and went into the service. I've lived all over the country. I've had 2 parallel careers as a marketing consultant, as a college professor. And we now live in South Georgia in the Golden Isles, just
wow.
south of Savannah. And
Great.
we have 2 children. And we're expecting our second grandchild on Tuesday, so I'm supposed to get home.
Congratulations.
You're
Thank you.
supposed to
Our
get
daughter,
home, I
I-
bet. Yeah.
My daughter called the other day and said, "When are you coming home?" And I said, "Why?" She said, "I'm in the doctor's office. We're scheduling when we're going to do the inducing."
Ah.
I said, "Are you ordering from Amazon?"
right.
This is
It's drive-through medicine
They do.
now.
It
You know,
is.
really, it really
Yeah.
is.
it's so.
Yep.
That's the brief history.
Okay.
Okay.
And am I still asking questions?
Yes, go
Okay.
ahead, ask him. Go,
Okay,
Debbie.
so The Bridge Between Us, can you hold your book up?
Yeah.
The
And what's the bridge between? What's the premise of that? Why did you write that book? And what's it about?
You were talking about the subtitle, which is more important. There are a lot of bridge betweens out there, but the subtitle is the 3 R's:
Okay.
race, rage, and reconciliation.
Oh.
Good.
And what happened was, those of us, I started high school in 63, and 63 to 73 was the microcosm of the civil rights movement occurring in the city of Waterloo, which affected the school system, which
Right.
affected those of us that were in school. And over the years, I developed this concept. David Walachinsky wrote a book called The Class of 65. He was Irving Wallace's son. And I was fascinated by that story. And as we had reunions and would talk to people about adult lives, how what we experienced in school had an impact on them.
Oh,
that was,
yeah.
that was the
definitely.
start.
In high school especially.
Particularly in a town where you're segregated by a river, with blacks going to
Yep,
school on
yep,
one side of
yep.
town and whites going to school on the other.
Yes.
And that's sort of an anomaly. And you take a look at the story, Waterloo was the center of civil rights in Iowa,
Sure.
which
We were.
surprised a lot of people.
Yeah.
Even Martin Luther King, when he came here in '59, said, "You have blacks in Iowa." He
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
even know that we were
Yeah.
here.
I'm sure.
And it became we were the ones that were reported in the news because that's where the civil rights was happening, was in Waterloo.
That's true.
Right, and we
And-
have a large
yeah.
community of African
Right.
Americans. Right.
And so from that, I started to doing interviews and talking to people. And it says in the book, people said, "I can't wait to read it." And the only thing I could say is, neither can I, because I didn't know where it was going. I didn't have an outline. It was just let the book come together. And ultimately what happened was, by telling these stories, I'm a storyteller. I'm secondary. It's the stories of the people
Oh, yes.
that went through school on both
Right.
the east side, west side. And I would say, which of the 5 high schools you went to did you go to? And they looked at me like, 5 high schools. There was East, West, and Columbus.
Right.
No, Orange came in 1964, and then Central was 72 to 73.
Yeah.
At the
Go
last end of that
Chargers!
decade.
That's where I went.
So that was the
both
genesis, was
Yeah.
telling the story of what these people experienced and how it affected their adult lives.
Right.
What has the response been like from the general public and for Iowans, I guess, in particular?
It has been one of extreme interest, particularly people not from Iowa, not from Waterloo. No concept that there were things like that that would have been operating west of the Mississippi.
Sure.
Because the focus in civil rights was in the South, where everything was a law, and the Justice Department was focused, but we had things in the northern states too, and again in Waterloo, because we had the largest minority population,
Right.
that were occurring were not on the Justice Department's radar. But when you take a look at the Commission on Civil Rights, CCR, out of Kansas City, they got very involved in things that were going on around here. So the response from outside was, gee, this is really, and the response from people in the community have been, I never knew much of this stuff.
Right.
I never knew about it.
Well, Deb and I graduated from Central High in 75 and 76. And it was a whole nother time with
It
race
was,
relations.
yes.
There were so many rural kids from, Orange.
Yeah.
Remember Orange came
Yeah.
and we all got together at Central. But when we would walk into the school, there would be 3 busloads of black kids.
Yeah.
And until we got there, the whole school was, non-black people. So, I remember us walking in, just pouring in, and then
Yeah.
the place eventually, everybody kind of spread out. But it was just a weird feeling there.
It really was.
Wasn't it? When you walked
yeah.
through that hall with, like we was in a big gang or something,
Yeah.
because we were infiltrating the school. But then, of course, we all got along, or we thought we did. In fact, I thought we really solved all the race problems back then. But then, we figured we had a handle on it. But then now everything's so crazy.
Yeah, but for me it was difficult because all my older brothers and sisters all went to East High School.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So I was looking forward to going and graduating from East High, and it didn't happen. And so I found myself, and plus I got pregnant in my senior year. So that whole experience for me was really odd because I didn't really have friends. I mean, my friends were spread out, but you guys are my friends. I did have friends there, but it was just a different experience for me. And I always remembered growing up how my brothers and sisters talked about East High and I just couldn't wait. The winning football team, the
Oh,
winning
yeah,
track
they were
team,
the
the
bomb.
winning teams. And then we get shipped over to some school that was just built, and why?
But we had air conditioning.
We did have air conditioning.
No windows, but
Yeah,
plenty of air.
but it was definitely an interesting time, though. Nick, back in those days in the 70s. I guess you could say racially, but I mean, we got along okay, but it was just segregated. I mean, I didn't really have a lot lot of white friends growing
birds
up.
of a feather flock
Yeah.
together.
Yeah,
You know,
which
I
is really
think that's
unfortunate.
normal.
Yeah,
Even
yeah.
in any place,
Yes.
public place,
Yeah.
you're going to find people talking to people
that they know
or
and they're
identifying
comfortable with. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I appreciate
So-
the book, The Bridge Between, and I can't wait to read it. And I just like to hear the experiences because you're right. I mean, Waterloo was a time where We really were like the mecca of the black community. It was a strong community, more so than Des Moines.
Yes.
And, you know, I remember people called Waterloo Little Chicago at
Yeah.
one
Right.
time, meaning
We would
all
hope
the...
for the good reasons.
Yeah,
but-
yeah, yeah. You know, I mean, back then, I mean, everything was alive and well, and people were working and had driving fine cars and fashionable and just great things
Well, we
like
had
that
so much more
happen.
industry.
Well, it was interesting
Yeah.
as the story started to evolve that there were actually 3 eras, and the center of the book, which is the stories of the students, is divided into those who graduated before 1966, those who graduated from 66 to 70, when everything was in upheaval and all
Yeah.
the students were experiencing the fighting between the school board and the
Right.
parents, and the parents and the city, and the city and the school board, which was the triarchy and control of things. And then the ones that graduated from 70, summer of 70 up to 73, each of those eras, the students had different experiences, and
Yeah.
so they got broken out into that particular
Yeah,
era.
yeah, yeah.
And I do need to mention the book's available on Amazon,
Good
but
deal.
Next question.
the Waterloo the Waterloo Schools Foundation will have some that you can pick up there. And
Okay,
I have a brother
great.
and sister who still live in town. We're still talking to some of the local bookstores, and may have it available locally too.
Wonderful. I'm looking
Super
forward to
duper.
it.
We're so glad to
Yeah, I'm
have
looking
you
forward
on
to
our
reading
show.
it.
Glad to be
this
here.
worked out after your talk and everything. Zion, we have some comments.
Mirsad
Questions?
Kosovic says, good afternoon to everyone there.
Oh,
Boom
hi.
shakalaka. And
Boom shakalaka,
Boom
Hey,
shakalaka.
Mirsad.
Mirsad.
Mary Casually says, hi ladies, Chief and Dr. Nick.
Yes, Chief Trelka. Say that fast 3 times.
Yeah.
Susan DeBonis says, tell Nick to remember the big birthday in our family this coming Tuesday.
Oh,
Oh.
Oh,
yes,
and who might
we
that
heard
be,
about
Dr.
that.
Nick?
The baby.
Oh, the baby's
Oh,
coming.
that's
That's right.
Joanna Kate.
The baby.
Oh,
Okay.
named already.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday,
Pre-birthday,
Joanna.
Joanna.
Yeah.
The message was get home before she's born, or
Yeah.
she'll know that you were in Waterloo
Or,
Okay.
on a TV show.
right.
Do you happen to have
right.
books with you?
Do you
Sorry?
have
You
books
have books
with you?
with you to sell?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So, we are so thankful to have you. Thank you for sharing with us. And you sit here. If you think
Yes.
anything you want to talk to Chief about, Chief Trelka, you just go ahead and speak up. And do you have anything you'd like to ask Nick?
Nope, but I was born in 1963, so
Okay.
that's about when Nick
Oh.
started. That's when Nick started high school.
Yeah.
Imagine that. You're just a baby.
I am just a kid, toddler. Just a
Just a
kid.
And-
toddler.
Susan's 9 years younger, so she constantly reminds me.
Oh, okay.
Love you, babe.
Yeah.
Well, Chief, for anybody who doesn't know you, could you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I grew up on a dairy farm in Wisconsin. Went to a fairly large high school in Wisconsin. We graduated like 700 students, and there was absolutely no diversity in the high school at all. I think we had one African American student. Other than that, some Latino students. The greatest extent of the diversity was whether you were Lutheran or Catholic.
Oh,
and
my.
that's,
Right.
that's truly how it was. Stevens Point was a college town. The University of Wisconsin Stevens Point is there, but I grew up 17 miles outside of town, and I was a troublemaker. I had,
No.
I'm not ashamed to admit, I was arrested several times before I graduated from high school
Stop.
for
Wow.
disorderly conduct, for
Oh,
fighting.
my goodness.
My parents were
Rowdy,
good people, but we came from a large family. There were 10 of us, and I was one of the younger children. And I think my parents just got to a point where they were frustrated with, especially me, because I was so bad.
Wow.
At 17, I left home mutually. I had a job anyway, so I had a place to stay. So at 17, I'm basically on my own. But I knew I needed direction and structure in my life, so I joined the Marines. And it was a
that'll do it,
good option for me. And that, I want to say it turned my life around. I rediscovered
deal.
Jesus Christ
Yeah.
when I joined the Marines. And they gave me discipline. They taught me to realize I do have potential as a person and developed me as a leader. And it took off from there. My wife and I actually went to high school together. But she wouldn't date me in high school
Oh,
because
you
I
were
was
too
such a
bad.
troublemaker.
Right.
Yeah.
He was a bad boy.
But while I was in the Marines, she's in college. We did it the old-fashioned way. We wrote letters to each other,
yeah.
developed a relationship,
Will you go with me?
got married a year after I got out of the Marines, and that was 31 years ago. Now we have 10 kids.
10 kids,
Yeah.
just like your parents.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you came from a big family, and you have adopted children? Or
Yes,
you have,
yes. We have 5 biological children and 5 we have adopted. 4 of the children we've adopted from Waterloo. We do foster care, and
How nice.
their
Awesome.
parental rights were terminated, so we adopted these children from Waterloo.
Wow.
So,
And I think it's important to also talk about something just amazing you did, Chief. A few months ago, actually.
6 months ago, yeah.
Yeah. Talk about that. You donated a kidney.
I donated a kidney. I had nothing
Yeah.
else to do,
Yeah.
so
Wow.
and I had 2 of them.
Oh,
So actually,
how nice.
and it turned.
But what I found stunning about that was you donated that kidney to an African American man,
yeah,
which
Aw.
is just really.
yeah, Jimmy Outlaw,
Great.
and it sounds like he probably has relatives here in Waterloo.
Oh,
I
yeah,
remember that
wow.
story, so that was
Yeah.
just moving, very touching for me. So.
So although you,
good
like
guy.
Chaveevah, both grew up in Chaveevah grew up.
When you
she
were
didn't have
talking-
any white people.
That's what I was
anywhere.
going to say. I just my experience mirrored yours because I grew up in Chicago on the South Side, and my entire environment, everyone, shopkeepers, teachers, the dry cleaners, everybody was
Except-
black people, except for one guy, and that was the postman. Yeah, and his
Really?
name was Charlie. That's one of my favorite stories. I would see him and I said, "Hi, what's your name?" And he said, "You can call me Charlie, Charles, or Chuck." So whenever I saw him, I would say, "Hi, Charlie, Charles, or Chuck," because I thought, I thought that was his name.
Yeah,
But
so
yeah.
you got diverse real quick because now you have black people in your family.
Yes,
You
yes.
have donated kidneys
Yeah.
to, so I mean it's kind of strange. And Chaveevah also has white people in her family. How about
That's
that?
the way it goes, right?
And to me,
I mean,
that all speaks to just how ridiculous racism is. You know, it doesn't.
Yes.
It just doesn't matter really. But yet we identify, Dr. Nick, the things that are the most, the apparent differences, and then that is all she wrote.
Right.
You know, and that's sad because we don't say because you've got blonde brown hair and I've got dark brown hair
Right.
that I don't like you, or because your eyes are what color, Chief? Blue, and my eyes are brown. I mean, we don't even look at those characteristics, but we look at this one characteristics, and that's
And
skin
it's
tone.
really a social construct more than anything else.
And
It's
I'm
not,
just sick of it.
But it has
Yeah.
too much of our attention,
It
and
does.
we
It's a-
have to deal with the things that we find ourselves faced with.
Yeah.
We're starting to see a change there because of the fact that it is exactly a social construct. And scientifically, we understand that there's no difference in the DNA
Of
Right.
course.
of any human being.
Right.
That there's negligible, I mean, there's nothing there. And so it's this appearance that we focus on.
Right.
That was defined by a British sociologist in the 1850s who
Right.
said, I want some way to distinguish people that live in Europe versus
You're right.
other
Right.
continents.
That's
And the
right.
most outward vestige of that was the color of the skin.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I have a story in the book where our son is from Thailand and our daughter is biracial. And we had a young black lady who was sort of a part-time babysitter with us. And we were taking her home one day, and he was about, I guess maybe 3 or 4, and he just blurts out, he said, "Daddy, she's black." And
That's
she was Jamaican, and so she
Sure.
had the accent. She says, "Yeah, and you are brown, and your daddy's white,"
Right.
so on and
Great
so forth, and the big
observation.
deal.
Yeah.
Well, he was already naming all the signs that he learned, for the different Burger Kings and McDonald's
yeah.
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But part of what it talks about in the book is where do kids get socialized
Exactly.
in terms of this dimension.
Exactly.
And there's a lot of discussion among people about the question was, where did you first understand there was someone of a different race simply based on their color, and how did that affect you?
Exactly.
And the stories are so poignant. I mean,
Right.
Sounds
the
like
stories are so important.
a great read. I mean,
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
something that we definitely need. You got all of this on your reading list now. The
Yeah.
Soul Town. This. You got some reading to do.
Well, the one thing we were concerned about with one of our adopted children is he came to us when he was 1 year old. It was on his first birthday. I think it was a year later we adopted him, and he's African American. And we were curious about or concerned about when he discovered he's different from us. And we talked to Pastor Q. We talked to your son-in-law. How should we handle this? And the best advice we got is as soon as possible, just start talking about it immediately.
Yeah.
And Yeah, he's just
You mean
he's my little
different
buddy.
in terms of he looks different from you, kind?
Yeah,
You mean?
well,
We didn't want him to be in
Yeah.
school and have
Yeah.
somebody say,
Yeah.
"Hey, do you know you're a
Yeah.
different
Oh,
color
yeah,
than your mom and
exactly.
dad?"
And it will. It
Yeah.
always will happen, you know. And you'll run into people that say, because I'm biracial, and both sides of my family were involved after a certain while. But I've had people, grown-ups, when I was a kid, say, "Oh, I don't believe in that." I'm like, "What?
Yeah, really.
Me? I'm just a person like everybody.
Right.
Well, I don't believe that races should mix." And then what
Oh,
is your
gosh.
kid supposed to say?
Yeah.
You know, because there's so many crazy people out there that just have different ideas.
Well,
And
the one thing I really like about Waterloo, though, is there are so many mixed families.
Oh, there are.
Yeah.
There
And
are
it's, I
absolutely.
mean, if you're sitting outside school, I was sitting outside one of our elementary schools a couple days ago, so yesterday when school opened, and just watched how many mixed families.
Exactly.
yeah.
And I watched that
It's
when I used to
changing.
ride the parades, and I would be like, "Wow!" And my granddaughter's biracial,
Yeah.
and I love her, and and her friends. She has friends from every hue and
Yes.
every ethnic background, and even she at now 10, which I have to talk to her and see. She still goes. She's brown. She's
Sure.
tan. You know, she doesn't say black, white. I mean, kids
Right.
just see black. This is white,
Right.
and that's black. You're not
Yeah.
that color. You're tan. You're brown. You're this. You're that. But they don't care.
Yeah.
And so I'm just hoping that she maintains her friends. She has white friends, black friends, Hispanic friends. And I said to her, "Mom, I just hope that as they get older, they continue to see the genuineness and
Intermingle with the
authenticity in
different
each other and just remain friends." And I'm afraid, Dr. Nick, they're not going to.
Yeah.
Something's going to change them.
Yes. But you know what, Debbie? Your time is up.
I know, and that's why I've decided that I'm going to have Dr. Nick on KBBG so we can talk about this in
Debbie,
detail.
like I'm going to call you radio.
I know,
you
I'm
can
sorry.
go.
Let me go.
Really? No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I would really like to ask you some more questions. Like,
Yeah.
first of all, how long have you been with the Waterloo Police Department?
It'll be 9 years in May,
Really?
and it's
Okay.
amazing how time has flown. And there's
gotta
been
go
ups and
anyway.
downs, but I'm proud of what this police department and this city has accomplished. The crime rate is down 37% in 9 years. That's just fantastic. We know the challenges we face. We've overcome some things. We're not perfect. Nobody is. No organization is. But we're looking forward to the future. I like to say the best is yet to come.
What difficulties, I'm going to interrupt for just a second.
Sure.
What difficulties do you have in recruiting minority officers?
It's especially hard in Iowa because we're limited to our
We're only
candidates.
Less than
Yeah.
3% of the population.
And it's tough to police in the city you grew up in. So, and here Waterloo is the most diverse city in the state,
Right.
yet we're having a hard time drawing from that population because it's tough to police where you grew up. I could never be a cop in Stevens Point where I grew up because they know what I did.
Right.
They knew what a rounder I was. I wasn't a good kid, and it's hard to overcome that. Even when I at family reunions to this day, or not family, class reunions,
Okay.
somebody will bring up something negative I did. Oh, I remember that time you got in a fight and got your teeth knocked out. Yeah, that was me.
Yeah.
So it's hard to overcome that. So
Is the department competitive in terms of salary and
Very.
so forth when you recruit outside the
very.
area?
But we're in an era now where we're competing with other industries.
Yeah.
And the latest generation, if they had their choice of working Monday through Friday and making $8 an hour, they'd rather do that than work at the police department and make $25 an hour because they have to work weekends and midnight shifts.
And it's in danger all the time. You know, you're always in danger.
How does Waterloo compare? I mean, this size city. How does it compare with other cities of this same size nationally as far as crime?
Very well. I mean, and that's one thing that frustrates me. I mean, and I hate when people call us Little Chicago because I can't stand that term. When it comes to our crime rate, Waterloo is not as bad as some people think. Our crime rate's typical for a city of this size. Matter of fact, our crime rate is lower than several other cities in Iowa.
You're
which
talking
people-
violent crime has gone down.
Yeah,
Basically,
violent crime has gone down. Our property crime is
Yeah.
unbelievably low. Yes,
Yeah.
we still have burglaries. Where we get a bum rap is our shootings.
Yep.
We have disparity in our number of shootings. And that's what generates the news, that's what generates attention. But we know what the issue is, and we're going to address it. We have an officer who started a non-profit organization
Oh,
to
gosh.
specifically
Yes.
address the violence we're experiencing in Waterloo. Because it's young men perpetrating crimes of violence against other young men. and we need to get a handle on that.
Yes.
Is that addressing the relationship between the black community and the police department? Because sometimes that can be
Strange.
Yes.
Yeah.
Addressing that
Yes.
and realizing that when that child goes home, there are challenges at home too. There isn't support for that child. There isn't resources available for him. We can have a mentor or a project specialist or program specialist, or an outreach specialist spend an hour, 2 hours a day with that child every day. And things can be going pretty well for that 1 or 2 hours. Even in school, things can be going pretty well. But then they get home and mom's working, and there's nobody else that's appropriate for them to be a role model. So they end up falling into the cycle of violence that's difficult for them to get out of.
Because between the hours of 3 to 6 p.m., that's when kids engage in at-risk behavior the most, and that's a fact.
And the trauma these kids have been exposed
there's
to
no
has
one
had a
home.
negative impact
Yep.
on their brain and how it has developed.
Yep.
And we're aware of that and what we can do to improve their life. We
Right.
have to do better as a community.
Right, and
And
your
we
time
realize
is
it.
up too.
Oh,
she loves to tell people that.
I'm just
But
passionate about this stuff.
I can
Yeah.
tell.
Me
And-
too.
And it's,
I'm-
Me
it's
too,
good
Chief.
to
I'm really
see.
glad we had this opportunity to talk about. I mean, because I see you in passing. I see you on television, and now I get a chance to ask you some things I wanted to know. So I
Right.
appreciate that.
And there's so much more. And
Yes.
Deb, you are the one to have because you're well informed on a lot of these subjects. I mean, and when we have another discussion, today we wanted to meet Chief Trelka and just kind of get to know him and stuff. But
Yes.
we're going to give our viewers a chance to ask the tough questions that need to be talked about. And we may just have you on as a guest
Good.
and have some interaction with our audience. And we want to thank you, of course, Nick. You told me not to call you Nicholas, so Nick, thank you so much again for joining in on this important conversation.
Zion,
Zion
you have
has comments.
Yes. Lance Springer says, "Hi, Deb."
Hey, Lance.
What about me, Lance?
Gino Weekly says, "Where do I get the book?"
Yeah.
Ah, yes.
Amazon.com.
But he
Or
has some
I have
here.
some.
Oh,
I'll
he
be at
has
the
some.
Waterloo Library tomorrow, 10 to 2,
Oh.
or 10 to 1, and Cedar Falls at 2 to 5.
And apparently my mom wants to know what's going on.
Oh, okay, now Lori
We're
Dale.
over.
Okay.
Yeah, right, Lori Dale.
Call her out.
Yes. So we are over, and she's probably wondering what's going on. You guys are still talking.
Yeah, I bet Ed is
It's
wondering what's
Deb's
going
fault,
on
no.
too.
Yeah, I know.
No, and Ed's wanting to start his weekend. Mark's pacing the floor. Zion's falling asleep. So it's time to go. I think we've covered a lot.
I think
Great-
so. Thank
great
you for having
you.
me.
This was
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, as always,
Thanks.
we had some great guests. I thank you both so much for joining us
You bet.
and for our conversation today.
Did we have anybody answer our trivia question to win the print? Seriously, pay attention
What's the
because we're
answer?
going to say it. Yep, we get to keep it. Maybe I'll take that one.
On it.
Maybe they can comment and get it.
They were supposed to comment and
They
get
can
it.
comment on the video.
Oh,
afterwards.
afterwards.
Aha.
The first one that does it after the show is over even wins the print. How about that? No, because they're getting ready to listen to it right now, Zion.
Yeah.
That's right.
What makes you
Okay.
awesome? Because you are awesome.
No, Debbie.
No,
You
that's
don't
right.
even watch.
I know
See?
it.
I'm working. I'm sorry.
All right, see?
What?
Ed knows.
Okay.
And we're getting ready to say it in a
No,
second.
Bear
so
Ed. You are.
You missed your chance. Next time.
Pay attention, everyone. If all hearts and minds are clear,
Oh no, she didn't.
yeah, I said it. Keep doing what makes you awesome.
Because
It makes us all look
look
good.
good.
See you next time.
Thanks. See you next time.